from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "The scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do. For they preach, but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move a finger. They do all their deeds to be seen by others, for they make their phylacteries broad and their fringes long, and they love the place of honor at feasts and the best seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the marketplace, and being called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers and sisters. And call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven. Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Christ. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning, my friends. You know, I was looking at this psalm and this gospel yesterday, and just when I heard it sung this morning, it was beautiful. But you know, the promises in this gospel for family and for men and for fathers are just awesome. They just blow your mind. "Indeed, thus shall be blessed the husband who fears the Lord." Fears the Lord, overjoyed by the Lord, overawed by the Lord. And you have to be overawed when you're here in Medjugorje, haven't you? Don't you have to be overawed? But then it goes on, and it promises this husband, "Your wife like a fruitful vine in the heart of your house, your children like shoots of the olive around your table." I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? In family. And we're all family, and we're all gathered here. And, you know, when I started coming here first, that's the message I got. Medjugorje is about family. It's about the heart. It's about the heart of the family. And the family, of course, as we know, is the building block of the church. So, my friends, it is wonderful for us to be here. Isn't that right? When we meet on the mountains, whether it's Apparition Hill, Blue Cross, Cross Mountain, down here, the risen Christ, having a cup of coffee. That's the conversation. Isn't it wonderful to be here? Isn't it a great place? Yesterday I was talking to a man, and he said, "Thady, you know, what I think of is when I'm leaving, when I'm going to be back. How soon can I be back here again?" So it is wonderful for us to be here. So I invite you now to turn to the next person, the person beside you, and say, "It is wonderful that you exist. It is wonderful that you are here." My own name is Thady O'Connor from Killarney. I have 4 adult children, and I have 4 grandchildren. But you know, there wouldn't be much point in we being here on our own. We're together, we're in fellowship, we're followers of Mary, we're followers of Jesus. And that's the essence of who we are, and that is the message of Medjugorje. Back in 2001, this is for the group leaders now who collect us all back in our own place, whatever country we're in, it takes these people, and I believe they're specially gifted, that gather us all together. Maybe sometimes have to cajole us here for the first time, as was the case in my own case. Back in 2001, one of our guides back there, leaders, she asked me if I'd go to Medjugorje, and I wondered why I should go. 2002 came, and I think the same person, she asked the same question. Anyway, 2003, and it was an anniversary year, a wedding anniversary, and I said to Carmel, you know, we'll go to Medjugorje because I think it's loads of sun there, and Dubrovnik is a great place. So this time in Medjugorje, and I was here in May, this time is my 26th time. Yeah. And last May, you know, we were having a discussion around the table back at where we stayed in our hotel. Everybody was sharing, you know, it's my first time, it's your second time. I've been here 4 times, and they come to me, and I've been here 25 times last May. So people ask me, Thady, what would bring you back to the same place 25 times? And I say, because every time I came here, wait for it, I had somewhat of a supernatural experience. And that's what Medjugorje is about. We can experience the peace here. The peace is tangible. Mary's presence is tangible. So back in 2003, I'll just share with you one of those experiences. We went to Blue Cross one night, and I was late arriving. The rest of my party were there, my wife and some other family members and a few friends. And we ended up in Blue Cross, and we ended up singing and praising and praying. And then this peace just came down on the place and seemed to envelope the whole group. And I felt a peace that I never experienced before. And anybody who was standing up in the group, they went out in the spirit, because the peace just was so intense. I think our muscles just went limp. And so there was an inner awakening to the presence of Mary on the mountain. At least a supernatural force, power that was greater than us. You became very, very aware of that reality. So coming down, those steps coming down to the street there was a very light mist. This was about 12 o'clock at night. There was a very light mist, and when we arrived down, one of our party asked us, did we taste the salt off of the mist? And we all tasted salt off the mist. And she said, they are Mary's tears confirming her presence on the mountain. Wow. So all the way back, which is a very favorite stroll of mine, all the way back, they said, Thady, you have to write a hymn about our experience on the mountain. And I tried to distract them because I had never written a hymn before. And I said, if I get into this writing the hymn and promise them that I'm writing a hymn, they're going to be on to me every morning and every night, have you that hymn written yet? So I tried to avoid it by singing other hymns. Anyway, they persisted. So we were about to go to bed. This could be 2:30 now in the morning. And I said, lads, it's time to go to bed. They said, no. I said, why? Because, they said, you've got to write a hymn. So, anyway, 10 minutes went. I said, look, I never wrote a hymn. So they got the paper anyway and the biro, and we were singing the hymn in about 10 minutes. Now we all participated. They all participated in the hymn. So I played the accordion every now and again. I went upstairs And I brought down the accordion and we were singing it. And in the morning I put a line onto it, and we sang her praises all through the night. And that's the way it was. And I'll just sing a verse of it now for you. And so we said, we saw the light on Blue Cross Mountain. It wasn't a physical light. It was Mary's face shining, the statue there. But it was an inner light, an inner awakening to the presence of Mary on the mountain. We saw the light on Blue Cross Mountain. We saw the light on Blue Cross Mountain. Starry skies on a moonlight night. We saw her face, so pure and gentle. We sang her praises all through the night. We saw the light. Her message is peace, peace in our hearts, peace in our homes, peace from Jesus, peace from Mary, from Blue Cross Mountain, from Blue Cross Mountain. It all began on rugged hills, June of '81. Mary asked her children to see the light in Medjugorje, to see the light. From all nations came God's people, through paths of gold and rocky hills, to see the light in Medjugorje, to see the light. Her message is peace, peace in our hearts, peace in our homes, peace from Jesus, peace from Mary, from Blue Cross Mountain, from Blue Cross Mountain. The peace. So that's what's here, my friends. And what I've discovered is that peace is actually a carrier of grace. The peace carries the grace. And of course, the music that is here is awesome as well. That carries the grace. And the music we have this morning, you know, never underestimate the power of music as a conveyor of the truth into your soul. Because the teaching of the church is that the Word of God is wedded to the music, and it arrives in your soul and your spirit at just the right time. Amazing, isn't it? The graces that are here are unbelievable. And I experienced that firsthand, because I was brought down with COVID in a very serious way back in 2021, October 2021. I was admitted to hospital and I was discharged January 2022. I was in hospital for 3.5 months. I was in a coma for 2 months on a ventilator. And the only sound I heard was the sound of music, the sound of sacred music, because they had put on a CD playing beside me. So I had awesome experiences, horrendous in one sense, but awesome experiences on that ventilator in that coma. Lessons that I could only learn at the throes of death. But I can tell you that Medjugorje and pilgrimages in general, prayer in general, really came to my aid. Because when you're on a ventilator, you're taken beyond your last breath. And it is then you know what you really have. Your mind is gone. Your energy is gone. I had no energy whatsoever. In fact, at one stage on the coma, I was spiritually aware to reflect in my spirit that, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Now, where did that come from? My intellect was dead. I had several more experiences, most of them horrendous, but I'll share just one more with you, which was a good experience. I was brought into this a garden, beautiful garden. It was like the Garden of Paradise. And I was brought under a tree there. It was beautiful. And when I came into the garden, it was like that people from my own family had passed on before me, and they were welcoming me, and that welcoming was bringing me peace, and it was healing me. And then I was brought under a tree, and there was water flowing down off the tree. And I was drinking that water. I could do with a drop of it now, actually. I was drinking that water, and that was bringing me healing. I was drinking that water. And so when I was writing my book, I wrote a book through encouragement of prayer friends. When I was writing my book, I looked up the characteristics of the Garden of Paradise. And I found that in the Garden of Paradise, the main feature is a water feature with 6 rivers of grace flowing from it. I believe that I experienced that water. So the graces, my friends, that are here. And, I was saying to somebody the other day, when we bring somebody to Medjugorje, it is impossible to leave Medjugorje without being touched in some way. Sometimes we may not know it, we may not be aware that I'm actually being spiritually formed here, but we are always. Because Mary, we've been invited here, each one of you have been invited here, and I've confirmation, personal confirmation of that over the years, since 2003. So I'd like to share with you more about my whole experience, and I can do that if you want after outside the sacristy door. After Holy Mass, I have a few copies of my book, but people find it very helpful in their recovery, because I'll be in recovery now 4 years next January. Now I can say with the last 6 months, I'm pretty well back to my own, pretty well back to myself, but it did take a good 3 years. Now, I was speaking to somebody in hospital the other day who had toes amputated, and I said, take it easy, relax. You've got to discipline yourself now. You've got to do some exercises when you get out. Telling him my story, that when I was here in his particular hospital, I said I was told, to take it easy for 3 years. Gee, says Thady, if I was told that, I think I'd just finish it all. I said, no, you've got a life. You've got the best of your life is to come. So it depends on how we look at it, my friends. I was delighted when the nurse told me that day, Thady, give yourself 3 years. Don't expect anything from yourself for 3 years. I says, wow, she really believes I'm going to live for 3 years. Hey, wonderful, beautiful. God bless you. Have a beautiful pilgrimage.